Hello students, this is Mrs. Miller, and the purpose of this video is to go over my reading and my text annotations with you. So the title of this is called Medicine Walk. I'm going to read through and I'm going to stop and share my thinking with you. The daunting task jumbled Tyler's thoughts. How could I spend 16 hours, including overnight, alone in the wooded state park? What if I have no mature problem solver inside me? How will I succeed if I'm scared silly or worried whether I'll find my way back? First of all, I know that if a task seems daunting, it seems overwhelming, it seems like it's just too much. And his thoughts were jumbled in his head. So I'm looking at the author's word choice here, and this tells me that he's having so many thoughts, thought after thought after thought. And my connection is a text-to-self connection of when I'm feeling anxious. When I'm feeling anxious, I have so many thoughts running through my head. I also noticed that the text here is italicized. The reason it's italicized is because these are his thoughts. Okay. I also noticed that mature problem solver is in quotation marks. That's because that's what Tyler has been told over and over again, but he doesn't think that he will be a mature problem solver. He's not a mature problem solver. So I put a bracket here, and this tells him because of his thoughts, he's having some self-doubt. I also underlined mature problem solver because this is what I'm trying to build in my own Naomi. I want her to be able to be a mature problem solver. But Tyler had no choice in this matter. Every young man in his family, as far back as anyone could recall, had undertaken his own medicine walk. Each boy more than survived the challenge. In fact, each recalled the demanding experience with fierce pride and acknowledged how eye-opening it had been. Tyler liked being on his own, but preferred the security of his cell phone, or at least a sturdy flashlight, to solitary exploration. So I just highlighted this medicine walk again, and I drew an arrow. This is how I was mapping the text to show that this is part of the medicine walk. It's a 16-hour overnight trip. And then once they've done it, they have fierce pride, and it's an eye-opening experience. And this reminds me of when I have pride, when I accomplish something. And then I also wrote, Tyler likes being on his own. My text-to-self connection is I like being on my own as well, but I wouldn't want to be alone in the woods. Continuing on. Mr. Melvin served as Tyler's coach. He led a reluctant group of 13-year-olds whose families wanted them to experience a medicine walk as an exercise in self-reliance. Ah, reluctant group. The adjective right here, reluctant, lets me know that these 13-year-olds don't really want to do this. And 13 seems so young. That's the same age as many of you. I did my own version of this when I was 13, he shared. My folks called it a vision quest, but to me it began as aimless wandering. I was allowed to bring very little with me, but I did carry the voices of the elders in my head as I explored. As my medicine walk day went on, my voice emerged and it served me well. My task today is to help you find your own inner strength to accompany you on your journey. So Mr. Melvin, that's the coach, so he's probably going to be an important character. He was successful and he learned something, so he's going to be able to teach the young boys something so they can survive as well. When Mr. Melvin went on the medicine walk, it was called a vision quest, so that's why I circled that there. And then they're supposed to be able to find their own inner strength as they get through this journey. So this is one of the purposes of the medicine walk, and Mr. Melvin is going to help them do that. Next paragraph. Tyler understood that people learn by experience, but feared that the inexperienced couldn't possibly have the resources to extract themselves from a tangle. The what-ifs tormented him. He fought back tears of shame for feeling so frightened. I again noticed the anxiety that Tyler is having. He keeps being tormented by the what-ifs. That means all of these questions. What if I get lost? What if I don't find food to eat? What if I can't find fresh water? So all this stuff that can go wrong, these thoughts are going through his head and it's tormenting him. And I can relate because sometimes when I'm feeling anxious, I have those what if thoughts that torment me. Mr. Melvin stayed calm and confident as a model to the boys. Ooh, I like that about Mr. Melvin. I like this character trait of his. He prepared the group by sharing maps of the area, which indicated clear boundaries beyond which walkers could not go, and noted occasional trail markers that would help orient the walkers. The group learned to identify animal tracks, recognize edible plants, and build a quick and simple shelter. Mr. Melvin also helped them discover ways to invite curiosity and wonder instead of fear and doubt. Together, they took group practice walks, each one a bit more challenging than the previous one. My thought here was Mr. Melvin is very knowledgeable. And what I did is I underlined why I think he's so knowledgeable. He taught them how to do all of these things. On the last meeting before the intimidating medicine walk, intimidating. Up here in the first paragraph, it was called a daunting task, and the author used really good word choice and put intimidating medicine walk right here. The group held a candid question and answer session in which each participant was encouraged to express his fears or concerns. Mr. Melvin modeled steady support and patience, saying, "Remember, you're not crossing a storm-tossed ocean on a rickety raft. You'll be in a limited area for a fixed period of time. You will begin as a group at 9 o'clock Saturday morning. Then you'll separate and explore anywhere inside the designated area. You will spend the night wherever you choose, in a shelter you will make, eating the food you bring with you and drinking fresh water you collect from a creek. You'll be free with your thoughts and dreams. We'll reunite at 1 o'clock p.m. Sunday, exactly where we began. Any questions?" So I put a bracket around here because I noticed that this is the description of the medicine walk. This describes exactly what they're going to have to do. And I really like, here's another character trait of Mr. Melvin's, but he broke down the task for them. When somebody is struggling with anxiety, again, I'm speaking from experience, it's a really good idea to be able to break down a task and think, okay, if I could just do this one thing first, then this next thing. So he wanted to put everything in perspective for them to let them know that it wasn't going to be too overwhelming.